Hello there, and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Wherever you are, whether you're already tucked under the covers, lying still in the quiet, or just beginning to let go of your day, I want you to take a moment now to relax. Let your shoulders soften, let your breathing slow down, and let the world around you fade into the background. Because tonight, we're going back in time, far back, to a place where the stars were brighter, but the nights were colder, where men rode on horseback, and danger often waited just beyond the horizon, where the land was raw, open, and untamed. We're going to the American frontier, the legendary, dusty, windswept land known as the Wild West. Oh, and if you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Super curious where you're all listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is. There always blows my mind how people are falling asleep to this all over the world. Now, you've probably heard the myths, tall tales of quick-draw duels at high noon, outlaws with black hats, lonely sheriffs keeping the peace, or brave pioneers building towns from the earth. But those are only stories. What I want to show you is something more real. Because the Wild West wasn't a movie. It wasn't a cartoon or a fantasy. It was a hard, hungry, uncertain world where many people did not survive. And tonight, in the safety of your bed, you'll take the place of one such traveler, dropped into that world with nothing but the clothes on your back and not a single person to call a friend. This isn't a nightmare, don't worry, but it is a quiet journey into discomfort and truth and long-forgotten hardship. So close your eyes, breathe easy, and let the day melt away. The year is 1873, and you've just arrived in a place you do not understand. You awaken before sunrise. The wooden wagon that carried you west has finally stopped. It creaked and groaned through the night, the wheels lurching over stones and roots, the scent of old leather, animal sweat, and tobacco still clinging to your coat. You sit up slowly, your neck sore from sleeping crooked. The driver, a grizzled man named Silas, nods without speaking. He hands you a small, cold biscuit, stale. You chew in silence, aware now of the chill in the air. Beyond the trees, a faint orange glow begins to bloom on the horizon. The town is just ahead. You stand, stretch, and step down into the dirt. It clings to your boots, and already you feel the dry air suck the moisture from your skin. The town is still asleep, but soon it will wake. And you? You are about to face your first real day in the West. You walk slowly into town as the sun begins to rise. The road isn't paved, just hardened dirt, scarred with wagon tracks and horse droppings. Flies buzz lazily in the early light. To your left is a low wooden fence around a dry corral. No animals. To your right, you see a sagging structure with faded paint, General Goods carved in the plank above. The windows are cracked and cloudy. Someone inside is lighting a lantern. Further down, there's a saloon, with swinging doors that creak in the wind. A porch wraps around it like a tired arm. You spot a hitching post. No horses. Just a broken saddle leaning against it, sun-bleached and abandoned. And then you realize something odd. Everyone here is watching you. Men behind shutters, women peeking through curtains. Even a stray dog pauses and stares. You're not welcome. Not yet. Your stomach growls. You haven't eaten since that hard biscuit. Your hands are cold, your head light. You look for a place to find breakfast. The saloon seems open, and you step onto the porch. The boards creak beneath your weight. The doors swing inward as you push. Inside, it's dim and dusty. Three men sit at a table with cards in hand. None of them look up. Behind the bar, a heavy-set woman pours something thick into a tin cup. It smells like old coffee and burnt beans. You ask for food. She looks you over, head to toe. "Coin first," she says, voice low. You reach for your pocket, only a few coins left. She serves you a plate, dry eggs, a slab of bacon tougher than leather, and coffee that scalds your tongue. It's the best thing you've had in days. And yet, it sits like stone in your stomach. After breakfast, you walk the streets. You speak to a blacksmith. He's hammering something glowing on an anvil. When you ask if there's work, he grunts, "Not for strangers." At the post office, the clerk is asleep on his desk. At the livery stable, a young boy shoos you away with a broom. Everywhere you go, there's the same look. Who are you? Why are you here? And will you cause trouble? You try to smile. You offer your hand, but no one takes it. You are alone. The sun is high now. The heat climbs quickly, drawing sweat from your neck, but there's no shade. The wind kicks dust into your eyes. You sit on a crate outside the saloon and wipe your forehead with your sleeve. You've made it to the west, but now what? You can't stay in the town. You can't go back. A man walks by, leading a horse. He pauses, squints, and finally speaks. "You ride?" You shake your head. "Not well." He laughs, a dry cough of a laugh. "Then you won't last long." He walks away, boots crunching the dry earth, and you're left sitting, staring down the long, endless road ahead. The sun is high now. The heat has crept into your clothes. Your skin feels sticky, your back damp.
There's no bathhouse in town, no clean water to wash your face. The only water you see is in a half-filled trough behind the saloon, brackish and lined with green scum. You spot a pump near the edge of town. You give it a try. It wheezes, then coughs up a stream of water the color of rust. You taste it, bitter, metallic, and still warm from the sun. There is no such thing here as a hot bath, a soft towel, or even privacy, just wind, sweat, and grit. And the realization that even washing your hands is a luxury long left behind. By midday, you're hungry again. You wander into the general store. The bell above the door jingles. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of old wood, leather, and something sour. Shelves are lined with tins, beans, peaches, something labeled only meat. Barrels hold dry crackers, hard candy, salted pork. You ask the storekeep what's fresh. He smirks. "Nothing here's fresh, stranger." You buy a piece of dried jerky. It takes minutes to chew. You're not sure if it's beef or something else. Even the bread, sitting on the counter under a cloth, has gone stiff and gray. You look around. There's no refrigeration, no fruit, no milk. Just salt, grease, and whatever hasn't gone bad yet. And still, people eat it. Because hunger doesn't care if the food tastes good. Later that afternoon, you find yourself at the edge of town, near the stables. A rancher is saddling up. You muster your courage and approach. "Could you teach me to ride?" He gives you a long look, then shrugs. 10 cents. You hand him the coin. The horse is tall, taller than you expected. It snorts when you approach. The saddle is hard, the stirrups too wide. You climb up awkwardly. The horse shifts beneath you. Your legs ache instantly. Your balance wavers. The rancher gives the horse a light tap, and it lurches forward. You barely hold on. The world jolts with each step. Your spine rattles, your knees bounce, and every muscle clenches. After just a few minutes, you're exhausted, sweating, sore. When you dismount, you nearly collapse. The rancher hands back your coin. "Better stick to walking." Across the street, a young man is cleaning his revolver on the saloon steps. You watch, curious. "Ever fired one?" he asks without looking up. You shake your head. He stands, offers it to you, barrel down. Try it. You take the weapon. It's heavier than you imagined, cold steel, rough grip. He points to a fence post. You aim. Your hands shake. You pull the trigger. A thunderous bang. Your ears ring. The kickback nearly knocks the gun from your hands. You missed by a mile. He laughs once. First time always is. He takes it back, spins the cylinder, and the sun is a hammer. No shade, no clouds, no break. A thick smell follows the cattle. Warm hide, manure, dust, flies swarm. You swat them, constantly. The cowboys barely speak. They ride with slow confidence. Wide-brimmed hats pulled low, bandanas covering sunburnt faces. One hands you a canteen. It's lukewarm, but you drink every drop. The landscape stretches forever. Sagebrush, mesquite, red rocks in the distance, no fences, no roads, just open country, and the long line of hooves beating a rhythm into the earth. The next morning, before dawn has even broken, you're shaken awake by a knock on your borrowed cabin door. A man with a beard like tangled rope stands outside, holding a lantern. "You said you needed work," he grunts. "Cattle drive heads out in 30. You nod. You don't remember saying it, but you're desperate now. By the time you're outside, the stars are still faint above you, and the town's only light is the orange glow of the saloon windows. The herd is already moving, dozens of longhorns with twisting horns and heavy hooves snorting steam into the cold air. You're handed a rope, a beat-up hat, and a chunk of dry bread. No one explains anything. The trail boss, short, wiry, with eyes like flint, gives you one look and says, "Stay at the back. Don't spook 'em. If you fall behind, we leave you." You nod again. You've never felt more out of place. As the sun rises, the land opens wide before you. Gone are the buildings, gone are the fences, just miles and miles of grass, brush, and dirt. The cattle move in a loose, lumbering wave. Dust kicks up, stinging your eyes. Every few minutes, one cow strays too far, and a cowboy peels off to nudge it back with a whistle or a flick of the reins. The trail boss rides ahead. Others flank the sides. You stay where you were told, at the rear. Flies buzz, your stomach rumbles, your legs ache. Hours pass. There is no clock out here, only the angle of the sun. You try to keep up, but your horse isn't used to you. Your hands blister, your shoulders burn. The trail offers no rest, just motion, and the creak of leather, and the lowing of tired beasts. Around midday, the herd slows near a creek. The chuck wagon lumbers to a halt. You dismount, clumsily, and stumble toward it. The cook, an old man with one eye and a stained apron, slaps a dented tin plate into your hands. Beans, salt pork.
Clouds thicken. The wind picks up. The cattle grow restless. The trail boss rides back and shouts over the wind, "Storm's moving in! Stay sharp!" You nod. Even your horse seems nervous now. A flash of lightning cracks across the horizon. Then thunder, loud enough to shake your chest. Rain begins in fat, cold drops. Within minutes you're soaked. Your coat clings to you like wet paper. The dirt beneath your horse's hooves turns to slick, sucking mud. Cattle cry out. One of them bolts. A cowboy yells, races after it. You watch helpless. Your hat is gone. The rain stings your face. You want to stop. You want to rest, but the herd must keep moving. Out here, the weather doesn't care about your comfort. Out here, it tries to kill you. That night, you finally stop. The camp is crude, just wagons in a loose circle, bedrolls thrown down on the ground. There are no tents, no fires. The storm has passed, but the sky is still low and heavy.
You crawl into a blanket that's already damp. Your muscles ache, your hands are raw. You fall asleep almost instantly. But not for long. A crack splits the darkness, sharp, sudden. A gunshot? No, thunder. Then hooves, hundreds of hooves, moving fast. "Stampede!" someone screams. You shoot up. Cowboys are shouting, scrambling, swinging into saddles. The ground shakes. The herd is running, straight through camp. You dive behind a wagon as the wave of beasts crashes by. It feels like the earth itself is moving. Then, slowly, it passes. When silence returns, your heart is still pounding. You look around. One man is missing. A hat lies in the mud. No one says a word. They just go back to their bedrolls. And you realize, this is normal. After the stampede, sleep doesn't come easily. You lie awake, staring at the stars. The trail boss lights a cigarette and sits nearby. "You ain't from around here," he says softly. You nod. He doesn't ask why you're here, doesn't ask your name, just stares out at the darkness. "This job ain't for most," he says. "No comfort, no glory, just dust and danger." You ask why he does it. He shrugs. Don't know nothing else. Then he leans back, hat over his face, and is asleep within seconds. You close your eyes. Coyotes howl in the distance. You pull the blanket tighter and try not to think about the man who didn't wake up. The next day, everything hurts. Your knees, your back, your neck, even your fingers ache. But there's no time to complain. The herd is already moving again. You rise, saddle your horse, and ride. This time, you don't fall behind. This time, you don't speak. This time, you just move. You're learning.
One cowboy hums an old tune, something slow without words. The cook curses under his breath. Someone tells a joke, and no one laughs. You ride on, and begin to wonder, how do they do this for months? How they keep going, day after day, and how long before you can't anymore? That night, there is a fire, just one. Cowboys sit around it in silence, passing a bottle, mending clothes, checking saddles. Then one begins to speak. Not loudly, not for show, just softly. A story about a town long gone, about a woman he loved, about a mistake he made. Another joins in. A ghost story, something about a rider with no eyes. You listen, not because the stories are exciting, but because their voices are warm. Because the fire is small, but it pushes back the dark. Because tonight, for once, you feel less alone. Would you like me to continue with Part 4, The Frontier's Hardest Truths? Next 3,000 plus words? The morning breaks softly, pale gold spilling over the horizon. You wake to a new sound, children playing nearby, a woman singing softly while she washes clothes in a tin basin. Women here live differently than you imagined. They rise before dawn, baking bread on cast-iron stoves, fetching water from wells, sewing clothes by candlelight. You meet Mary, a widow with 3 children, who writes in a small journal by the fire. She tells you about her life, how her husband died of fever last winter, how the cold nights can freeze her youngest's breath, how letters from distant family bring hope. She smiles quietly and says, "We hold on, because we have to." Her hands are rough and steady, but her eyes hold a fragile strength. Later, Mary invites you inside. You see a small cradle, a blanket wrapped tightly around a baby. She recounts the night she nearly died giving birth. No doctor, no nurse, just herself and the moonlight. Her screams echoed into the night, but no one came. She prayed, breathed, and held on. When dawn arrived, her neighbors brought water and comfort. She tells you this story without bitterness, only with the quiet understanding of someone who faced death and chose life. You journey outside town, past the hills and rivers, into lands that once belonged to native tribes. You meet an elder named Running Bear. He shows you the scarred earth where buffalo once roamed. He speaks softly of broken treaties, stolen lands, and lost traditions.
His voice carries the weight of centuries. You realize that the Wild West you walk through is also a land of deep sorrow, where survival means holding memories, and sometimes fighting just to keep them alive. At a nearby ranch, you meet James, a black cowboy. He tells you about the ride from the South, how the West offered freedom, but not always safety. He recalls days on the trail where the sun burned his skin. His stories are full of courage, laughter, and quiet pain. He is one of many whose lives shaped the West, though history often forgets them. Further west, you visit a railroad camp. Workers, mostly Chinese immigrants, carve tunnels through mountains. They live in crowded camps, far from the towns. You meet Lee, who tells you about long hours, low pay, and the constant threat of violence. Yet despite hardship, they built the rails that connected the country. Their hands shaped the future, though few remember their names. Back in town, a tense mood hangs in the air. You witness a town meeting outside the sheriff's office. Accusations fly. A man is arrested without trial. The crowd decides his fate. The sheriff raises his hand for silence, but does little more. You understand. Justice here is rough and immediate. Sometimes mercy is rare, and sometimes survival means carrying the weight of judgment in your soul. The days blur, and the nights stretch longer than you imagined. The vast, open land that once felt like freedom now feels like emptiness. You sit by yourself on a fallen log, watching the wind stir the dry grass. There's no one nearby for miles. The silence presses in. No laughter, no conversation, only the whisper of the breeze. Your thoughts turn inward. You realize how much you miss simple things. A friendly voice, a warm meal shared, a hand to hold. With no letters, no phones, no way to call home, you carry the burden of loneliness deep inside. Some settlers write journals to remind themselves they exist. You try the same, but your pen feels heavy. Isolation affects your sleep. Sometimes you lie awake for hours, listening to the night. The shadows lengthen, the wind sounds like whispers. You wonder if you will ever see a familiar face again. Some nights, the despair creeps in like a cold fog. You think of the families you left behind, the life you gave up, the endless struggle ahead. You remember stories of others who lost hope, who vanished without a trace, or worse. You fight the urge to give up, to walk away from it all. But something keeps you rooted. Perhaps hope, perhaps stubbornness, perhaps the stubborn human will to survive. In the dark hours, cowboys tell stories to chase away the fear. Tales of ghost riders, haunted trails, and spirits of the lost. You listen, captivated and comforted. Sometimes you even start to believe. The West, you realize, is not just a place of earth and sky, but a land of stories, where legends are born to fill the silent spaces. One day, you find an old, dusty box in the attic of a settler's cabin. Inside are letters, written in delicate script. Freedom, opportunity, new beginnings. But the truth is, harder. Freedom here means facing the unknown alone. It means working until your hands bleed. It means cold nights, harsh judgment, and endless danger. The West does not promise safety. It promises challenge. And only those willing to face it survive. The sun dips below the distant hills, casting long shadows that stretch across the dusty earth. You sit alone outside a small cabin, the cool evening air brushing your face. Above, the stars begin to emerge, countless pinpricks of light scattered across the velvet sky. The Milky Way arches overhead like a ghostly river. The silence here is profound. broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant call of an owl. You feel very small and very alone. In the distance, a chorus rises, low, haunting howls that echo through the night. Coyotes. Their voices weave a strange kind of music, both eerie and beautiful. You imagine them slipping through the brush, moving with the moonlight as their guide. The sound reminds you how wild this land truly is. No fences, no walls, just endless open spaces, and creatures that survive by their wits. Your thoughts wander to dangers you cannot see. Hidden beneath the brush, rattlesnakes coil silently, waiting. You remember warnings from the locals. Watch your step. Don't reach into the shadows. These warnings weigh heavily now, because out here, the smallest mistake can be the last. You settle down on a bedroll beneath a canvas of stars. Your body aches. Your mind races. Hunger and exhaustion tug at you. You wrap your blanket tightly and close your eyes. But sleep doesn't come easily. Images of the day, the stampede, the heat, the harsh faces float through your mind. You breathe deeply, imagining yourself somewhere safe, somewhere warm, somewhere you belong. As fatigue pulls you under, your mind drifts. You see a warm fire crackling. You smell fresh bread baking. You hear laughter and the soft voices of friends. A gentle hand touches your shoulder. You feel safe. For a moment, you almost believe you're home. Then the vision fades. You wake to the cold wind again. You rise and look toward the horizon. The first hints of dawn paint the sky in pale pink and gold. You wonder, could you survive another day here? Another night? Could you endure the loneliness, the danger, the endless struggle?
The vast desert stretches endlessly around you, baking under the relentless sun by day and chilling to biting cold by night. You walk slowly, your boots crunching dry sand and cracked stones. Every step kicks up dust that swirls in the heat. There is no shade, no water, no relief. Only the distant silhouette of a lone cactus standing stubborn and tall. Here, solitude is not just a feeling, it is a presence, heavy and unyielding. Stories swirl about men who live outside the law. You hear whispers of Jesse James, Billy the Kid, and others whose names strike fear or awe. You imagine the lonely roads they traveled, always looking over their shoulders, hiding by day, riding hard by night. They live by gun and luck. Their survival, a precarious dance on the edge of disaster. Could you live like that? Forever hunted, forever alone? You come across the remains of a once thriving town. The wooden buildings are sagging, windows shattered, and streets overgrown. No laughter echoes here. No horses clatter on the boardwalks. Only silence and wind. You wonder about the people who lived here, their hopes, their hardships, and what made them leave. Ghost towns are reminders that the West was a place of dreams, but also of many broken promises. Winter in the West is a different kind of battle. Snow falls heavy and unrelenting. You watch from a cabin window as drifts pile against the door. Cold seeps into every crack, every bone. The cattle need feeding, the wood needs chopping, and the cold nights stretch endlessly. Survival becomes a test of endurance, patience, and hope. The distant whistle of a steam engine breaks the silence. The railroad is progress, a symbol of connection, change, and the promise of easier days ahead. But it also brings challenges, displacement, conflict, and the rapid end of a way of life. You listen to the whistle fade into the distance, and realize the West is changing faster than anyone can keep up. You write a letter by candlelight. Your hand shakes as you try to capture everything, the beauty, the pain, the fear, and the hope. You send it with a rider heading east. Whether it will arrive is uncertain, but putting your thoughts down on paper helps.
It is a lifeline, a connection to a world that seems far away. The wind picks up, swirling dust into gentle spirals. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. The dust carries stories of settlers and dreamers, of heartbreak and courage. You imagine their footsteps, some strong, some weary, etched into the earth. Each grain of dust a whisper from long ago, and you feel connected to those who came before. You watch a sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. Birds glide silently across the horizon. A breeze cools your sunburned skin. Despite the harshness, nature holds its own kind of beauty. The desert blooms after rain, wildflowers bursting through cracked soil.
The mountains stand tall, ancient and steady. You realize that even in the wild, there is life and hope. One day, a neighbor offers you a fresh loaf of bread. You accept with gratitude. She shares stories over tea about her family, her losses, her joys. Her kindness feels like a warm blanket against the chill of loneliness. You learn that even here, amid hardship, small moments of grace exist. You reflect on the lives that shaped the West, the pioneers, the Native Americans, the immigrants, the outlaws. Each carried dreams and burdens. The land is a mosaic of their stories, some bright, some dark. Understanding this fills you with humility. You are part of a long, complicated history. As night falls again, you sit by a campfire. The flames flicker softly. You listen to the crackling wood, the night sounds around you. Your heart slows. The vast sky seems to watch over you. You feel a gentle peace. Your journey here is coming to an end. You pack your few belongings slowly. You say quiet goodbyes to the land and its people. Though you leave, the lessons stay. The West has changed you, and you carry its stories with you. You think back on all you've faced: the harsh sun, the cold nights, the dust, the danger. Survival here demands more than strength. It demands resilience, the ability to stand again after falling. The West teaches that life is a struggle, but also that the human spirit can endure. Though much of the time you felt alone, you realize that even in this wild place, people depend on each other. Neighbors share food, stories, help. Without community, survival is impossible. You carry a new respect for the quiet bonds that hold people together. The land is harsh, but honest. It offers no second chances, but it also teaches patience, respect, and balance. You've learned to watch the skies, to listen to the wind, to read the signs of the earth. Nature is both a threat and a teacher. The last morning dawns softly. You watch the sun rise over the hills, its warm light spilling across the land. You feel a deep gratitude for the challenges, for the moments of kindness, for the stories you've heard and lived. You take a final breath of the crisp air and prepare to return to your own time. The day winds down. You find yourself once again beneath a sky strewn with stars. The wind carries the scent of sage.
Feel the peace settle in. Your breath is even. Your mind is still. Sleep comes softly, and you rest, safe, calm, and at peace.